Welcome back everyone to episode 4 of GSX International Airport. Today we are going to be lighting up the runways and sort of tying some stuff together. So yeah, let's get right into it. First thing you might notice right now is that some things about the runway have changed. I decided to cover it entirely with ploppable asphalt so we have a consistent pattern or color, I guess. And I added a new centerline because the vanilla one was a bit too short. And yeah, so right away we start with the lights, and I'm spacing these edge lights out, which come with Vasimir's runway lighting pack at 60.5 meters. This is all of the lighting in this episode is up to guidelines. It's all correct. I went through like FAA circulars and okay, if you don't, I don't think I ever said this, but this entire series is more technical than it is aesthetic. I'm really trying to make it as realistic as I can, and Vasimir has been a huge help with that. We've discussed quite a bit about this lighting, and he's just helped me a ton. And so yeah, I'm just going to talk about what just happened. So basically, I added the edge lights on each side of this runway. Like I said, 60 meters apart, plus or minus just a bit, just to get it in the proper location like I want it to, so it's a bit consistent. And then what we're going to do is the last 600 meters, I believe, or the last 10 lights on each side, we're going to remove them and replace them with yellow and white split lens lights. And basically, this is to tell pilots that they're starting to approach the end of the runway. And the yellow side faces towards the center of the runway, so pilots that are coming in for a landing would see the white lights rather than the yellow lights. You see, I also am putting them on the edge right here, and they're actually supposed to be just a little bit off because apparently you can use the entire runway up until the white edge. I didn't know that, so I fixed that later. It's not that big of a thing, but again, trying to be as realistic as I can. Also, where two runways intersect, you're going to get one light on each corner, as you could see right here. I think they're supposed to be white. I don't actually look at that, but I think it's fine. So I just left it at that. And then the next step was to add the threshold lights. And so here at the threshold bar, if there is a displaced threshold, basically each runway with different ends has a different sort of type of threshold lights. So here, because I have a displaced threshold, we're going to be adding 4 unidirectional green lights facing outwards, as in towards where the pilots would be coming from. And also one of them has the yellow light. You're just clipping it through the yellow-white edge lights. And these are high intensity green lights. They come again with Vasimir's runway lighting pack. And then basically here at the very end, where it's right next to the EMAS bed, you're just going to add 4 bidirectional red lights, which can be seen from any direction. The displaced threshold also has its own lights. It has red-yellow split lights, and the yellow again facing towards the center with the red facing outwards. And yeah, basically it turned out to be perfectly right there, and that's how I kept it. That's how I knew where to put them. Now onto the centerline lights. These, the name sort of explains it. They go along the center. They're spaced at around 30 meters, but you can, change that just by a little bit if you want, if you absolutely need to. These are like in the ground, so that planes can drive over them and not break their wheels. It's like embedded in the ground. I played around with it a bit because they weren't too bright, and all I really had to do was just raise them up a bit with Move It. The next set of lights that I put down are the runway touchdown zone lights, and these go in sets of 3 just along the center, like next to the center line on each side. You can see these 3 stripes here. Basically, they go along those. And I'm just putting down a road right now, so I know the distance that I need for them to be. I don't remember the exact measurement, but the road indicates that. I use the same light as the runway centerline light because planes do land on it, and they're also white, so it just makes sense to use that. And the spacing of these lights is 60 meters in good visibility or 30 meters in poor visibility. I'm just going with good visibility because that's just sort of the whole thing that I have going with. My airport is good visibility is what I'm trying to say. As you can see, it really is just a matter of using prop line tool and dragging your lights back and forth. It's not really complicated, it's just time consuming because you need to have the correct measurements, do some research, and it's just a whole lot of repetition. And then this is sort of what it came out looking like. I'm really happy with how it looks like. We have all the lights apart from the ALS, which we'll be doing in a second. And in general, it's really coming together now, and when I look at it, it looks like a realistic airport to me. So immediately, like I said, we're getting into ALS. This is an approach cluster of 5 high-intensity red lights, and these are vanilla lights, so they are kind of weird, and I redo the ALS after. Basically, like I said, these are red, and they're put parallel to the touchdown zone lights, and it sort of guides the planes in. And there are 10 of these, but you'll see how I do it. It's kind of complicated, but it makes sense just by looking at it. Essentially what I'm doing is taking these clusters and I'm spacing them out at 3 units or around 32 meters, something like that. And yeah. Also, there is another set of this on the other side, basically mirroring this. And for those of you wondering, this ALS configuration is ALSF-2. And then immediately after doing that, I had an even better idea as to how to do it. So Bazimir also has just prop versions of the lights, and so I wasn't happy with the glow, so instead basically I just replaced the lights with props and then used Move It to move the high intensity red lights that come with his runway light pack, like the threshold lights you can see on the left there, into the lights to give it a more realistic glow. And it worked out great. I'm really happy with how it looked like. Unfortunately, I couldn't do the same thing with the white lights you'll see in a second, but close enough, I think. Close enough. And here are those white lights that I was talking about. These are found in the middle of the configuration, and they, again, appear as white. And again, the glow isn't as good as these ones here, and you can actually say I changed them to be equal to that of the touchdown zone lights, because there's only 3. But basically these clusters, yeah, I don't think they're the correct proportion, but Razmir is remaking them, I'm pretty sure. So when he does, I'll be more than happy to replace these. And this isn't the full configuration, so then I basically duplicate it and then move it forward to form mostly the full one. I still have to add, you'll see me in a second, add 2 more white cluster lights on each side of that furthest one. And then we have to add some sequence lights. I think this is supposed to be the decision bar, which is basically the point where pilots decide whether they want to go around or land. I'm not sure, because I sort of rushed through making this entire ALS configuration because I had to finish recording so I can get it out on time. But yeah, that's sort of what these white lights are for. And here they are. These are the sequence lights that I was talking about. These were released by Vazimir literally the same day that I was finishing recording, so just in the nick of time. And basically these are strobe lights, and they flash and sort of flash towards the runway. They guide pilots towards it. And basically these lights, they're numbered like 1, 2, 3, so you put them properly in the proper order. And I need 10 of them, and as it turns out, I have a perfect amount of 10 white cluster lights that I can use as guidelines to first put down these props and then sort of move them forward to have them be in the proper position. And that's exactly what I do, like you can see here. And what do you know, it looks like these lights actually cross a taxiway. I don't know what to do about that, so I guess I'll have to fix that in the next episode. It's not supposed to be like that, just so you know. I'm pretty sure you can't have lights that planes can run over crossing it. But yeah, you can see they work, they flash properly. Of course, this footage is sped up right now, so the video is shorter, but that's what it looks like, and I'm super happy with how it looks. Finally, we have the PAPI lights, which are precision airport something indicators, and they tell the airplane, the pilots basically, if they're too low or they're too high, or if they're just right. And they're usually put around the aiming point, or 285 meters from the threshold bar, which is that thick white bar you see at the end of the runways. Basically, I just put them around the aiming point because that's just seemed to work. Sometimes I moved it, like in this case, where I couldn't get it perfectly because you have a taxiway right there, and I think it works out in the end. So that's the end of this episode. If you'd like to see more of this, then consider subscribing and clicking on the notification button if you want to be notified of when I upload. Also, if you liked the episode, please do leave a like and let me know what you liked about it, and same with if you didn't like it, leave a dislike and leave me some feedback. I also have a Twitter now, so it's in the description. Go check it out if you want. And yeah, see you next time.
50, 40, 30, 20, retard, 10.
Terrain, pull up,